Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I have with us something special right in here. This is a laptop that is meant for people who are into AutoCAD, you're into light gaming, you're into video editing, but you're low on budget. So in here I have the HP ProBook for 50 G7. And let me just get it out of the parcel because I know you're quite anxious to see what is out right over here. And this is our piece. It's quite big. And just before we get into the review of this machine, let me just do something here that is normally very uncommon in any other laptop apart from MacBooks. And what is that? One finger opening of the lid. Good signs ahead from that. Very good signs. It means we have very good hinges on these machines. Let's have a look at the body design. Remember I said earlier, this is the HP ProBook for 50 G7. A very premium machine body-wise. We have an aluminium chassis here. Expect the body to be very strong. Even though it's big for 50 G7, the 5 in the 450 stand for the screen size. So we are dealing with a 15.6 inch screen size right over here. And that is how the body design looks like. It feels so premium, very strong. Yeah, though it's a bit weighty because it's around 2 kgs, and that is something you'll have to deal with once you get yourself this machine. The top part here we have aluminum chassis, very strong HP logo. It's something weird because HP decided that their ProBook versions, they're not going to change the design of the logo, even though it's a latest machine, because this is 10th gen. And for the EliteBook models, you realize that even the logo changed from 7th generation models. But right on this one, ProBook, they still maintain the logo. On the keyboard deck side, we have aluminum chassis too. Yeah. Then right over here, this is a plastic chassis. So it's a mix of aluminum chassis, just for durability, and plastic chassis, even on the bottom part. I'll tell you the reasons why this is plastic in the next few moments of this video. We have ventilation slot, the rubbers, very crucial and important rubbers right over here. These rubbers just help the laptop to maintain proper grip on the table whenever you're using it, so that it doesn't slide off easily. That's why they're very important, and they're raised to a certain height to enable airflow underneath the machine. You see the height at which they're raised on. Talking about ventilation on this machine, we not only have this ventilation for air inflow into the laptop, we also have another air inflow ventilation port right over here. And then on this side here we have another port. We have another port right over here. See, this very big slot here for air outflow now from the machine. I know you're wondering why there's so many ventilations for this machine to breathe. The reason to that is the laptop I'm currently having in front of me has something called the dedicated graphic card. It's so unfortunate that you don't have the stickers right over here, but I'll show you the specs when you get to the task manager. We have a dedicated graphic card, and it means this laptop, it's meant for heavy duty tasks. Therefore, when you're performing heavy duty tasks, normally the laptop overheats. That's why they really worked on the ventilations. Yeah, we have one on the side, one on the bottom, another one on this other side, so that whenever you're using it, it doesn't overheat and your work will be seamless and flawless. Just to finish up with the body part review, let's have a look at the ports. And here we have the Kingston lock, and then it's unfortunate that the one that I'm using, we have a broken USB port right over here, but this is USB 2.0 port. Then here we have the ventilation slot I was talking about. Right over here we have a memory card slot. Yeah, for those memory card slots sizable for camera, for those who are video editors and content creators, just unplug the memory card from your camera right into this machine. You don't need to use any other converter or any other USB hub. On this other side we have two USB 3.0 ports. Now these are high-speed ports compared to the one that we had over there, that 2.0. And right over here we have HDMI 1.4 that supports 4K display to other external display devices. Here we have the audio jack port. Then we have RJ45 port. We have Type-C port right over here. Type-C is normally advantageous because with Type-C you can do video transfer through this port to external display. You can use this port also to transfer data at higher speed, or 10 times faster than the normal ports we have on this other side. And then right over here we have a charging port for this machine. So it normally uses the HP blue pin charger that looks like this. Let me just bring the charger. Yeah, so this is the charger, goes in through there. Look at how flexible the upper part is. Remember, we were able to open the lid with one hand, and then the flexing of the top part, it's up to 180 degrees. And I normally love laptops that have this flexibility on the hinge. One, we have a central location support base for the hinge, therefore it's very strong, and it's usually very rare to come across such laptops with a broken hinge because this support base is very, very strong. And then again, having the laptop upper part, the screen part tilting to 180 degrees, it's very secure because if you're using the laptop in that position and then somebody happens to topple the laptop to, let's say, that way on the table, so it will go to its maximum tilting position on the table without straining the hinges, as opposed to those ones that have their maximum tilting position to this angle, and therefore when somebody happens to topple this part, the lower part will come up or the laptop will break apart at the central location. And then another thing, having it at that position is useful because assuming you're maybe in a conference room and you're giving a talk, you're displaying something on a screen to people standing just at this position right behind you, or some of them standing right in front of you, you just have to tilt the screen like this straight and they'll be able to see what you're explaining to them on the screen. So that is quite advantageous. And then as for the keyboard, this is how the keyboard is. The travel distance is quite okay. It's not the best keyboard, I must say, because in terms of keyboard rating, having checked at MacBook's keyboard, Lenovo ThinkPad keyboard, this keyboard, maybe I'll give it a rating of 6 on the highest. It's not quite good because you see right at the center here, there's that syncing of the keyboard. Even though the travel distance is quite okay, the one that I'm having does not have backlit, because you normally have that backlit icon right around F10, F9 or around F2 right over here, but this one is non-backlit. So if you're keen, or if you're somebody who uses the laptop maybe in dark environments or at night, then just ensure that maybe at the time of purchase you get one that has a backlit. But if you don't get one backlit, it's okay too, because functionality is just the same. Backlit is just an added advantage. So we have no backlit here, and then we have the numerical key area right over here for accountants. If you're a business person, you normally love using these numbers, and just from using the bigger external keyboards, let's assume in banks or in where, then when you get to your laptop, you still have that section right over here. So that's the advantages of having a 15.6 inch laptop, because you normally have this section here for fast typing of digits, as opposed to using the upper layer on the keyboard. Nothing much to add on the keyboard. Then on the trackpad, it's a glass trackpad. You can see, yeah, you can feel how clicky it is. So it's a glass trackpad, and that means that you can use this trackpad for the longest time and it will not easily wear out because it's glass. You won't see any signs of wearing out, as opposed to what you normally see, especially on other laptops, the black ones. You know them. I'm not going to mention them on this video, but we realize with time, if you use the black laptops, yeah, from the other company, the trackpad surface normally gets worn out, and you'll see just a lot of signs of bruise on the trackpad. But here you won't get to notice that. We have fingerprint scanner slot right over here, and this one you normally confirm, because some of these machines are refurbished and you might be having this slot here, but the fingerprint scanner is not installed underneath this machine, so you'll have to confirm it. I'll show you how to do that. This is the power button, this is the speaker, and the speakers, they normally don't disappoint. I think a few months ago we reviewed the HP ProBook 450G3 and it had good speakers, and now this one is 450G7, so you don't expect the speaker to disappoint. And I tested them, they were good. I just do a sound test for you so that maybe you prove me right or wrong. We have the HP logo there, not so interesting because the old logo. And then this is how the bezel looks like. Have a look at the screen, 15.6-inch screen over there. The bezel is quite thin on this side, but thick on here. I think maybe they should have just thinned the bezel a bit so that at least we have uniformity in thickness. Maybe they have their own reasons as to why they're still maintaining these. I think that is something they should work on because we are now going to frameless decade whereby we just want our screens to be just screen. We don't want these frames hanging all over the screen, but it's still a nice looking display. Just have a look at the bezel. Then we have the camera right on top here. We have the physical shutter for the camera, very important because some of these machines do not have this physical shutter, and with the physical shutter this is the best form of security for the camera because without that you'll have to put in a sellotape there to cover the camera so that anybody does not spy on you. And having it physical like this makes it at least clean and professional because having sellotape right over there does not look good. Then we have these small holes right here, these tiny holes. These are dual stereo microphone just to take in your clear voice whenever you're doing a Zoom meeting or a video conference call through the camera we have right over here. I'll do a video check on that and camera check so that you get to see how clear the camera is and how good the microphone receptions are. So guys, this is the camera for the HP ProBook 450G7. This is how the camera is. Let me know how good you think the camera is because I'm using it currently at enough lighting right on top of me. It's a very bright light and that is how I appear on the camera. I don't know how good the microphone receptors are, but I hope they're quite good because some of them, the microphone receptors or receivers are quite bad and they do not take in sound properly. You have to shout for it to take in your voice. I don't know how this is, but let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, if you reached this part of the video, don't forget to tap on the like icon and don't forget to subscribe for more reviews like these ones. Now let's turn it on. You see how fast it turns on so that you get to see the property of this machine, and I show you the reason as to why I think this machine is good for entry-level AutoCAD users, that is engineers, and then entry-level video editors, entry-level gamers. If you want to play light games, then this machine is definitely for you. I think now I've turned it on. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to this account and don't forget to leave a like on this video if you're able to get yourself to this point of the video. Why leave without subscribing and why leave without leaving a like onto this video? I think we are now approaching 22 seconds, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So it took around 30 seconds, if not 30, maybe 35 seconds just to improve on the accuracy, and that was a bit longer to boot on. Not so much because some of this machine normally take even 5 minutes, 1 minute to boot on, but this one 30 seconds is not bad. But having reviewed some other laptops that booted at around 5 seconds, 7 seconds, I think this was slow on this, and I'll give you the reason as to why it took long to boot or just to get to the desktop. That is how the screen looks like when it's on, and I must confess that we have a very poor screen right over here. The screen resolution here does not match the specs of this machine because on the motherboard it's quite powerful, the body design is quite good, but now the screen that I decided to put on this particular version is not that good. We're dealing with a screen here of let me just give it time. You'll just have to be patient with me on this. I'll give you a reason as to why this machine is quite slow at booting because it's still loading. It seems like it's still loading. So have a look at the screen resolution we have here. This is a 1366 by 768 on a 10th gen machine. This is quite unfortunate, but again it's advantageous to this machine in a way. One, having this screen resolution at this Lower resolution means that this screen does not consume so much power, and it means you can be able to use this machine in outdoor environment at longer hours, because the brighter the screen, the higher the resolution of the screen, the higher the power consumption. But again, they should have just decided to let it be have higher resolution, because the board is of higher specs, and why squeeze the screen? On the other end of this is that you can be able to get this particular machine with a higher screen resolution, that is of Full HD 1080, and with the higher brightness levels, and that will be advantageous for you if you want a screen that has higher resolution. Because remember, if you're doing video editing on such a screen or photo editing, you won't be able to enjoy editing those photos if you have these weak screens. So you'll have to get one with a better screen than this, or just get another monitor, external one, and then project from the HDMI port to there. The brightness level is not that bright. Yeah, we're dealing with around 200 nits of brightness level, so it means it's good for indoor environment, but on outdoor environment it will be quite disadvantageous, because the sunlight will outdo the brightness on the screen, so anything on the screen won't be that visible. Again, the screen is anti-reflective. It means even though you won't be able to see things on the screen properly due to highlight outside environment, but the reflections won't be so much on the screen, so therefore you still be able to see what's on the screen. So this is the screen resolution on viewing a video, and you can see how it is. Maybe from this camera it might not be as clear as what I'm trying to show, maybe because I can see on my screen the green is too green, but right here it's not as green as maybe you'll want it to be. That's because of the low resolution we have on the screen. If you can compromise on that, then you're okay, because that is something that you can just purchase the machine and then use another external display that has higher resolution than the one we have on this display. Nonetheless, it was quite maybe a poor display for me. I think that's the only thing that I didn't love about this machine. The display was quite off, and have a look at the ratings. They're not that sharp and crispy as you'll expect for such a powerful machine. So the screen was the only disappointing factor. Otherwise, everything else I think I loved. Every aspect of it. The speakers were good, the frame, the bezel, top notch. Big screen, top notch. The number of ports, so versatile in terms of port, top notch. Battery life, good. Trackpad, good. Everything else is just good. Body design, good. But the screen, let's get to see the specs, because this is the most important part of this machine, the internal specs. I normally recommend, if you want to see the specs of the machine, just come here and click Ctrl Shift Escape, and then the task manager will open. Now at the task manager, come to the performance tab right over there, performance tab. Then now let me just magnify this. So at the performance tab, you'll be able to see all the properties of your machine, starting from the CPU to the GPU. Now, first and foremost, we have the CPU. The CPU I have right over here is the Intel Core i5 10th gen with a base speed of 1.6 gigahertz. You can see here the base speed is 2.1, but it's 1.6 by through manufacturer. But this one should not worry, because this laptop can turbo boost up to 4.2 gigahertz. It has 4 cores and 8 logical processors. So during multitasking or heavy task, these CPUs we have right over here, they normally combine to turbo boost. So you'll have higher clock speed of around 4.2 gigahertz. That's when the laptop will now be, the fans will be spinning so loud, everything will just be at maximum, so that to facilitate that higher speed. Because remember, the higher the speed, the higher the amount of heat being emanated from the laptop, and that's why the manufacturer decided to just have lower base speed initially, so that when the laptop is at idle speed or it's not doing anything, you have these low speeds like the ones that I'm seeing right over here, 1.7 gigahertz. Yeah, sometimes go to 1.3, 1.2, so that it doesn't overheat, and that's why it's quite silent. Just have a listen. It's as if the machine is off, and maybe when you give it now workload, that's when you'll start hearing the fan, and the laptop maybe will start becoming hot, and it doesn't overheat as much. Remember the reason as to why it's not overheating. I gave you the reasons initially. Having a laptop with 8 logical processors and 4 cores, it's good because it's good for multitasking, it's good for handling rendering tasks, because for rendering, the higher the amount of cores you have, the faster or the shorter the rendering time will be. So this is so crucial, and if you are planning to get a laptop to do rendering or editing of videos or even gaming, just ensure you have higher number of cores and higher number of logical processors. And then for memory, we have 8 GB of RAM installed right over here, and it's not only 8 GB of RAM installed. Look here, we have the speed of the RAM that is currently installed is 267 megahertz, but slots used you have one out of two, and then the form factor is sodium. Remember what I told you about sodium? So it means on this motherboard we have 2 RAM slots, and currently only one RAM slot is in use, and it has 8 GB of RAM. Therefore you can add another 8 GB of RAM to make it 16, or remove the 8 GB you have installed and add 2 RAMs of 16 by 16 to make it 32. And if you're planning to use this machine for high-end task, that is AutoCAD, gaming, then you'll have to add another RAM, so that ensure that all the RAM slots are in use. Don't operate the machine on just a single channel like this. It won't be that efficient and reliable. Ensure that all the RAM slots are balanced, or even if it's 8, just put them to be 4, or maybe if you decide to go for 16, ensure that you have 16 or 8, so that there's a balance on the RAM channels, so that you have a proper performance from this machine. Then for disk, we have a hard disk right over here. You can see the type is hard disk, 932 GB. So currently we have a hard disk installed and not SSD, and that's why this machine was taking so much time to boot up as opposed to those machines that have SSD. But an interesting fact on this machine that I'm not going to open the bottom cover and show you is that it's hybrid in nature. You will have the hard disk installed somewhere around here. We have a hard disk right underneath here, but on the board you also have a slot for M2 SSD. So you can insert an M2 SSD for Windows booting and other factors, just a small one even to 56 GB, and then you still have a 1 TB for storage for installing those maybe games, installing AutoCADs, those files that require big installation space. For GPU, we have 2 GPUs here, very interesting, 2 GPUs. We have GPU 0 and GPU 1. Now this GPU 0 is the integrated graphic card. We have Intel Ultra HD graphics that supports videos display up to 4K for display. This graphic card can also support entry-level gaming, entry-level video editing. So many tasks can still be performed with this Ultra HD graphic, but it's not as good as the second one, and this is what makes this machine special among the rest. This particular thing we have right over here, the GPU 1, we have an NVIDIA GeForce MX130 graphic card that has the dedicated GPU memory. You can see it's of 2.0, so we have a 2 GB dedicated graphic card right over here, and this dedicated graphic card, it's quite important for this machine, and this what makes this machine stand out, because with this graphic card you can be able to do so many things that most of these machines cannot do. Even the 15th gen machines without this dedicated graphic card cannot do those tasks. You see, when you're getting a machine, maybe some of the time you normally want to get yourself the latest, not considering this factor, because you think getting the latest will be able to handle the heaviest task or the latest task or the most demanding task, but that's not the case. Despite getting the latest, like this one is 10th gen, not so bad, because the highest we have right now is 15th gen. So 10th gen is good, but you have it with the dedicated GPU, then you're good to go. Nothing can stop you for an entry-level task. You can start with this and then later you'll upgrade to another, maybe better one or another beast. But this is quite good for entry level. So if you're a student, maybe you're planning to join university to do maybe engineering course or demanding courses that are so reliant on software that are like AutoCAD, MATLAB and the rest, then you'll need a machine that has this dedicated graphic card. It will be so crucial to you and it will be so helpful to you. And even if you are into professional work and you need something that will handle demanding tasks like architecture, design and the rest, kindly consider these. Very important. Over here there's something that is missing. I don't know why it's missing. There's something I wanted to show here, but it's supposed to show here too. We have Wi-Fi card and Bluetooth card installed on this machine. It's normally just a small card that you can upgrade, but here we have Wi-Fi 6 adapter and Bluetooth 5.0. Bluetooth 5.0 is advantageous because the Bluetooth range discoverability for the 5.0 version, it's quite longer, and it's more 10 meters that we did have on the previous Bluetooth 4.0 versions, the older models. So the range on this one is quite improved. I think it's around 200 meters, close to 100 meters. It's quite long, the range that the Bluetooth on this machine can go. And Wi-Fi 6 is quite advantageous because it supports high Wi-Fi speeds. You see, you might be having a Wi-Fi in your house that has higher speeds of even maybe 300 ps, 1 GB per second Wi-Fi speed. But if you have a laptop that has an old Wi-Fi card, it won't be able to use that Wi-Fi to its maximum potential. Therefore, having such a machine with Wi-Fi 6, you'll be able to use your Wi-Fi just the same speed it's producing. You'll be able to see those indications or those same speeds within your machine. Now, remember I promised I was going to show you how to confirm if the fingerprint scanner you have right over here is functional or not. How do you confirm that? Just come to your machine, then press on Windows X, get to the device manager. Right here we have the device manager on the list. So you come to the device manager, and once the device manager opens up, you'll be able to see the list of all the devices connected to your machine or connected to your motherboard. First things first, you see we have the Bluetooth, we have the cameras, all these devices. If your camera is not working, you won't be able to see camera installed right over here. If the Bluetooth is not working, you won't be able to see this Bluetooth icon right over here. But today, right now, we are interested on this biometric device. So let's just expand on it. We see the biometric device, and you can see right over here we have Synaptics touch fingerprint sensor. So it means it's enabled. So you have fingerprint sensor there for fast login. Instead of using the pin to log in, you can just use your fingerprint scanner to log in to your laptop. Another important security feature we have right over here under security devices, right here, we have a TPM or Trusted Platform Module 2.0 there. That means you can be able to upgrade this machine, or you can be able to install Windows 11 on this machine without bypassing anything, because it meets all the criteria for Windows 11. And that means this machine is future proof for all Windows 11 updates. And then, just to summarize this review, remember there's some other security features on this machine that are not visible. We have something called HP Wool Security here and HP Biosphere Security, just to improve on the motherboard security and Windows OS security, so that in case of scenario whereby you're attacked by a malware, your machine will just be able to restart and clear out or wipe out the malware from your laptop. And that is something that is usually good for business people. If you're using your machine in a business environment or in an office environment that is so critical and crucial, you're safer with such a machine. We've come to the end of this review, and just before I conclude, there's some things that maybe I might not have explained. The battery, then we have a very good battery. If you get this machine, a new one, then expect the battery to last you between 7 to 8 hours on doing light task, and if you're doing heavy task, then it will last you around 5 hours. But if you get a refurbished one like the one I'm currently having here, expect the battery to last around 5 hours on light task and 3 to 4 hours on heavy tasks. But the good thing is, with the charger, you can be able to charge this machine. It supports high-speed charging, just as the modern phones we have right now nowadays. You can be able to charge this machine from 0 to 50% in just 30 minutes. So that is quite advantageous and a good thing to have on such a high-end machine. But with longer use, the battery gets worn out quickly, because most of the time you'll be handling heavy tasks, and those tasks normally consume the battery a lot. So the time you'll be having issues with the battery. Unless you get them and you perform just light tasks, you're good to go. Nothing much to add on that, because since this was just a review piece and I'm not allowed to open the bottom cover. Remember, the bottom cover is made of plastic and not metallic, and then you only have around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws to deal with. And after opening those screws, if you want to remove the bottom cover, remove the screws and then lift up the lid from these points we have over here, so that you get to access the internals. Remember, you can be able to upgrade the RAM, you can be able to change the storage, you can be able to clean the fan. There's so many things that you can do right underneath this bottom cover. That is the end of this review, guys. Let me know what you think about this review. Would you get yourselves this laptop? Considering it's around 2 kilograms, it's quite heavy, it's quite big, you have a big screen. Would you consider getting it? Or maybe you'll get a smaller one, because there's equally a smaller version of this, that is the 430 HP ProBook 430 G6 or G7 version. Yeah, with the same specs. You can get one dedicated graphic card, but the one we have right in front of us, going for $310, you can get it at that price, but you'll have to upgrade the RAM and then upgrade the storage to use an SSD instead of hard disk that you have right over here. What do you think about this laptop? Will you get it, or it's quite expensive considering those factors? Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to leave a like on this video. Stick around for the next review. I hope it was quite worth your time. See you next time.